And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ TV, BPTV Sunday Night Live. Now, stoked to be here. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight's topic is one of those ones that it seems innocuous. You look at it, you think, oh, what's that mean? I am someone who's been watching BJJ Instructionals for a long time. The difference between what I do and what other people do, which has been a common thing, like Joey's one of those people too. He doesn't really believe in instructionals because he doesn't use them properly. Now, BJJ Instructionals will not help your jiu-jitsu if you do not have a method of applying the information. Now, this is super key. I've talked about learning styles before. I've talked about mental models regarding learning. But tonight, what I'm going to give to you in a fairly concise 4-step method is how you can take a piece of information and put it into your jiu-jitsu. It's a 4-step process that I've kind of cultivated over time. I learned part of it in Brazil. I learned part of it here from looking at some skill acquisition stuff, and then also looking at how some of the best people in the world do their thing to learn BJJ. So that's what I want to give you tonight, guys. It's Sunday here. We've got daylight savings. So if you're on different time somewhere else and you're seeing this, I appreciate you making the adjustment. So we have gone back an hour. So it's 6:30 now, but where you might be 7:30. It might even be earlier. You might be somewhere else in the world. It might be 5 a.m. Guys, how are we going to make it so that BJJ Instructionals, these things that you've invested money in, you've got access to this content, how are you going to use it so you can actually get better at jiu-jitsu? Because for the best part, you might watch it. Maybe Danaher's voice is really annoying. It's putting you to sleep. Maybe you get sick of Craig Jones's bad jokes. Whatever it is with the DVDs, like the online subscription, you don't put it in your game. This is a huge problem. And this happens too with people just going to class. Your instructor might show a great technique and you think, oh, it's really cool, or shows a guard that you've never seen before. And then next week, it's not being shown, you're not practicing it, and poof, it's gone. So what is the method for you being able to learn from an instructional and make it part of your game? I'm going to spell it out for you guys right now. Now, quick thing. If you have any questions related to the program, anything related to BJJ, I'm happy to just riff on that. Chuck it in the comments section. Feel free to ask me a question. It could be injury, it could be strength, it could be nutrition. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be related to tonight's topic. But if you do have any questions about tonight's topic, also punch that bad boy in. Now, number one, in the 4-step method, let me just put it here. Super key, guys. Number one is understanding your study. So study is actually part of it's part of the idea, but it's also essential to understanding the problem of why you're not learning from watching these videos. Study, you need to watch not the whole video. You don't need to watch the whole thing. You don't need to watch all of Lachlan Giles' 4.5 hours of his half guard, I call it like the mythology. It's like a Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know what I mean? Anthology. So no disrespect to Lockie. I love him. I love his content. But he puts out a lot of information. And you only need this much. So you need to just watch one part. So he might be referring to a half guard sweep. Or he might be referring to a position from dogfight. Just watch that video 3 times. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't watch it once and then move on to the next section. Now, this sounds silly, but watch it 3 times. So you could almost quote it verbatim. So you actually hit a point where you don't need to watch the video again. You do understand, or you have at least taken on the words before you make it a physical understanding. Now, here's part 2 of the study equation. Take notes. There may be some key details that the person on the instructional shows that you've never heard before, like put your hand here on the hip, or make sure that you join your hands with an S grip instead of a gable grip, whatever it might be. Take down these notes in a journal or a book or a diary. This is super important. This is something I do. I write in my diaries every day. I've got one of them right here. This is a mono journal. You guys may have seen me talk about this in a journaling video on our channel. And so some days I'll write more. So it'll be, that's a pretty empty day. It's a pretty scant day. And then other days will be kind of a mess. Like it'll just be on smash, all kinds of notes. Now, generally, I'll be writing notes about lifting, writing notes about jiu-jitsu, quotes that are inspiring, different ideas about entrepreneurship. But essentially, for you, we need a book that's dedicated to your jiu-jitsu learning. So when you're watching an instructional, now one of my students, Dan, shout out Dan, he's doing an MBA. And when I told my students that they had to bring notebooks to class, he's like, oh my God, you're turning jiu-jitsu into an MBA. Well, look, guys, it's actually more important than an MBA, because even though that might help your business make money, it's not going to save you from getting choked by me. You need to make sure that you have a method. This study method is watch a single video 3 times. Write down 2 to 3 key points that you need to remember. This is super important. Then what we need to do is go to step 2. So we've watched the same video, just like 3 to 5 minutes. Don't move on, just that same video 3 times. We've taken notes. The next step is action. So this is the step that everybody fails to take. Now, it is so important that you actually have somebody to practice with. One of the biggest issues with jiu-jitsu is that we need someone else. Drilling dummies are bullshit. I don't care what you say. Even if you have a drilling partner, drilling is not enough. And I'm going to talk about that next. You need the action. So you have to take your journal, take it to the point, and you need a good training partner. Now, here is how to drill. I'm going to give you the method I learned in Brazil. It works for me now. And, I do it to this day. And if I want to work the hell out of a skill, you got to use the timer. So this is what you do. You and your drilling partner each have something that you want to work on. You're just going to work on a single thing. So it might be a half guard sweep, or it might be a back take, or it might be a takedown. You set the timer for 5 minutes, and you're going to put in there like a 30-second break for changeover. You do the same movement over and over and over again continuously for 5 minutes. Now, there is room in there for a little bit of feedback. So your partner might say, hey, grip the lapel a bit higher, or hey, push on my shoulder a bit more. It's okay to have a little bit of feedback, but you don't want to break in the skill repetition. You want to be able to get through not as many reps as possible, but work through the sequence continuously for 5 minutes. Now, in the case of a judo throw, that's pretty rough on your training partner. It's a little bit different if it's a sweep or a back take, but you want to make sure that you understand each step and do it as precisely as possible. Do not rush. This is the time for you to really perfect and really understand in your body from a kinesthetic perspective, how does this thing work, right? So you will do that continuously for 5 minutes. Beep, the timer sounds, you have a 30-second changeover, and then your partner will work their technique, position, whatever it might be, for 5 minutes. You do this continuously for an hour. Now, that's a workout, guys. Don't misunderstand it. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, drilling doesn't work. You bet it works. The thing that took me from being like a kind of above average blue belt to being like a world-class purple belt was drilling, without question. And there's plenty of people out there who will say, oh, drilling doesn't work. If we look at anyone who is amazing at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they drill. There are only 1 or 2 exceptions to that rule. If you are early in the Jiu-Jitsu journey, you need to get drilling in your vocabulary, in your training vocabulary. As you develop and you get better, you may find that you understand your skills, and with enough control, you can actually drill within training, but that's a very high level thing. So once you have done what we would say is like maybe an hour or more of drilling, stop. That's what you needed. Now, what you can do just for feedback is record it so you can have a look and really use that to cement what you practiced deeply into your reflexes. Because what we're trying to do is take it from our prefrontal cortex and put it back here into our cerebellum, put it in the hard drive, take it from our working memory to our subconscious memory, which is like epically vast. It's 20 times or 30 times the capacity of our working memory. So you want to take it from your like memory stick to the hard drive. That's what I'm talking about. Now, step 3. This is the next thing, which a lot of us don't do. We've got to think like a scientist now. And this is where we bring in trial and error. Now, the error is actually key. But the funny thing is, we don't like to make mistakes. We get embarrassed, right? That is actually totally the wrong way to look at it. If you look at your jiu-jitsu like a scientist, you have a theorem, you have a hypothesis. Oh, I'm going to do my technique in this way. It's going to work. You don't know for certain. It's just a hypothesis because maybe it works on somebody who is not very good at jiu-jitsu, but then it doesn't work on a higher belt. So then you need to refine your technique and run more experiments. Here is the deal. You need to do specific rounds or specific training at reduced intensity. So you may already do this, guys, like situational drilling or specific training, but usually your coach will be directing it. What I want you to do is to be able to either with your drilling partner or with other people you train with, say to them, hey, I don't want to work on deep half guard. I want to work on the thing I'm working on and get them to work in with you. At this point, ask them to go lighter. It's important that you try to perfect your technique under less resistance. Now, if you don't have the luxury of training partners who know how to roll 50%, they just go flat out, like pull harder and just try to bash you. Okay, you trial by fire. You're going to have to see how your technique goes. The only problem with this, it's like testing your deadlift technique under your 1RM max lift. You could get injured. It's very likely your technique's going to fail. So in order for you to actually get better, you need to do 2 or 3 rounds at about 50% resistance, right? Then once you feel like, okay, I've got a feel for what's working, what's not working, you actually need to be writing this down. So this sounds strange, but I would encourage you to have a little notepad or your journal, have your journal next to the mat, writing down, okay, that worked, that didn't work in between rounds. Sounds weird, but trust me, this is absolutely, it does amazing things to put your jiu-jitsu on steroids. So then, and I don't mean literal steroids, I mean like a mental steroids, but whatever, take that as you will. Next couple of rounds, you're going to be rolling at 70% from the same specific scenario. So here's the thing, people get bored. You need to have some discipline around your techniques, guys. Now, I'm not saying this has to be every session. This is just one session a week that you're working on this specific skill. So you need to be working for 2 or 3 rounds at about 70% resistance. Now it's getting a bit more real. Now your partner's not letting you have what you want. You've got to work a bit more, but it's not quite full rolling. Once you've completed 3 rounds at 50%, 3 rounds at 70%, now it's time to roll. It's time to put it to work. If you do not do this, you are not going to find the holes in your game. You must get your game smashed to know what is working and what is not working. Also, the terrible thing about human memory is we're really good at remembering what's bad. We don't remember what's good. So when something is successful, we tend to just it goes away. And then we just think about that 4-stripe white belt that almost choked us unconscious because we're trying a weird technique and they're just going savage to get you. That's the thing, guys. It's important that you actually write down in the success column, like, okay, this worked, that grip worked, and I got that. And in the failures column, you need to write, oh man, got armbarred here, got swept here, got my back taken here. Like you actually need to write these things down. So at the end of training, you actually got a reference. Another way you can do this, if you're not someone who likes to write down things, videotape yourself. I've talked about it before, guys, but I can't believe how many people are not doing this. You need to just get like a little tripod. You can get them from JB Hi-Fi or wherever you like. It's not narcissistic. You're not an influencer. You're just trying to get better at jiu-jitsu. And there is nothing wrong with recording yourself. The best people in any sport watch tape. Doesn't matter if you like footy, if you like car racing, if you like swimming, they will watch recordings of themselves to check their technique. It is imperative for you to get better, for you to actually put your critical eye on yourself and see where you were successful and where you were not. Just putting your phone there and hitting record is one of the best ways to do that each round. So hit stop between rounds, start again. And that way you've got a little catalog of rolls that went better and maybe rolls that did not. Okay, last but not least, guys, I'm getting to the crux of it. And this is where humans stuff up. This is what we're all missing. That is reflection. I don't mean looking in the mirror, even though Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror. That's where it starts. Cheers. Here's the deal. We do not learn from our experience. This is a mistake. As much as experience counts, we learn from reflecting on our experience. Don't miss that. This is not some cheesy Instagram post. This is real. We do not learn from experience. If you just go through life just experiencing as it goes and just bouncing off the walls, you're just like a pinball, bing, 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 bing. You don't actually move forward. You have to look at what you're doing and understand what's working and what's not. This is where the journal and the videos come in handy. At least once a week, you have to sit down and assess this. Now, you can do it with your coach. You might do it in a private lesson with a senior belt or your mate, your drilling partner. You get together, you have a bit of a brainstorm. Maybe you've got a bit of a small group of similar people, similar size, similar belt. Maybe it's a group of women. You're all lightweights. You get together, you powwow, you hang out, girl gang, gang. And then, we have to look at it and go, what was successful and why? Like, why was it successful? Oh man, I hit that on all the lower belts, but I can't seem to get it on purple belts and above. Okay, let's have a look at that. Maybe I need to refine my technique. Okay, what didn't work? Oh man, it only works on people who are smaller, not on the bigger people. Why? Okay, let's understand why. The key to you getting on top of this is getting to the root cause of your mistakes, as well as understanding what is making you successful. If you don't know why, it's just pot luck. And every time you go in there, you're just a gambler. And that's okay. Hell, that's fun. Yeah, we're at the casino, throwing my money away. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. The reflection piece is absolutely key to your success. If you don't sit down every week and do some reflection, then you're not going to learn from your mistakes. So in my journal, now I'm going to come back to this, there is a weekly reflection. Now, I do this not religiously, but I do it pretty consistently. So I'm going to peel back. Let me have a look. Go back to January. So this is my old journal. I've just changed over to a new one, April 1st. Now, right here, pull it up. There is the weekly review. And even though this might be backwards, I'll just share with you guys what this is. So it says wins for the week. So you have 3 sections for that. Give yourself a rating, like how well did you go this week? That week I did not very good. I gave myself 6 out of 10. And then it's got, are you making progress? Yes, I'm making progress, but maybe not as much as I'd like. What are the 3 things I can improve on? It's given me some categories there. And then what is the weekly plan? What is my focus? What are the top 3 tasks? And what are some additional things I can work on? This is a great format, but let's bring that back to your jiu-jitsu. When you do your weekly reflection, whenever you do it, whether you do it with your coach, by yourself, with your friends, whatever, you need to go back, review the notes, have a think about the tape, and then fix your mistakes. This is absolutely number 1 for jiu-jitsu improvement, and no one really talks about it, is fix your mistakes. / don't repeat your mistakes. Now, if you keep repeating the same mistake, you're stuck. It's that simple. You will not improve. It doesn't matter how many techniques you throw on that bad boy. It doesn't matter if you got Gordon Ryan's DVD, you got the whole DDS squad, you got Bulletproof, the BJJ. If you are not fixing up what is fucking you up, you will continue to fail. It's that simple. Now, if you fix a mistake and then you make a new mistake, that's awesome. New mistakes are awesome. That means that you've actually leveled up. Now you've passed the guard, and now the person's re-guarding and they're snapping you up in the triangle. Well, that's totally fine because new mistakes are welcome, but reoccurring old mistakes are not. And we see this all the time with people with nagging injuries, like they have bad posture or a bad shoulder, and it's chronic because they're not doing anything to strengthen their posture. And they're not doing anything to counteract the imbalance in their body, and therefore they're chronically sore, they're chronically injured. So guys, that is it. It's short, it's sharp, it's concise. BJJ video instructionals are not going to help you unless you have a method. This is the method I give to you. So if we break that down, it's really only 1 day a week that you need to go through the steps. And then it's only like 1 hour a week that you are doing or half an hour a week to do the reflection piece. Do the study, watch the video, take it to the mats. Make sure that you watch it 3 times and take notes. Then take action. Do your drills, get your drilling partner, and go continuous, 5 for 5. 5 minutes on, 30 seconds off. Do this continuously for approximately an hour. Then it's great to do that before class because now it's in your game. So when you're in class, if you can, when it comes to rolling, do the specific training around your technique. Now, I understand if the teacher's got you doing triangles and you are practicing a pass, that doesn't really work. But you need to, if there's an open mat, apply this to the open mat. Make sure the people you're rolling, you go, okay, can we start in this situation? There's nothing wrong with that. That's not rude. That's smart. Now, the next step is the trial and error. This is where we're putting it into action with the rolling. 50% for a couple of rounds, 70 to 80% for the next couple of rounds, and then boom, full rolling. That's what you need. Once you've done that, that can be done in one day. We need the reflection. You could do it on the weekend, you could do it on a Monday, whenever it suits you, but make sure you're analyzing what worked, what didn't, and why. Stop repeating your mistakes, my friends, and you will get better. But make sure that you have a system for applying new techniques. This goes beyond BJJ Instructionals online, right? This is actually about how you learn stuff in class. If you've never bought an online instructional, cool, that's totally fine. I actually recommend that you should, with the caveat that you actually have a method for integrating it with your jiu-jitsu. That is what this 4-step process is all about. Study, action, trial and error, and reflection. You must have these things. If you do not have a method, it doesn't have to be this one exactly, but if you do not have something similar to this, which is basically thinking like a scientist, testing out your theories, getting the feedback, adjusting and retesting, you are absolutely just throwing time and money away. Our lives are short, right? We only have so long in this jiu-jitsu game. I'm very grateful to be here now, 14 years deep in the game, coming up on 15 years. I haven't had any major surgeries, even though I've had some major injuries. I still roll, I still train, I love my life. I only wish for you guys the same. But know that I have been obsessively keeping my body fit, strong, and healthy, eat my vegetables, take my vitamins, get my sleep, drink my green tea, blah, blah, blah. Do you do that? I'm going to say maybe not. And that's okay because I'm really boring and I live in the gym and I don't expect you to do that. But to ensure that you do stay on the path, you do get your black belt, and you do enjoy jiu-jitsu in your life, it doesn't cripple you, we need to make sure that we're learning well, training well. That's it, my friends. Look, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can hit me on Instagram, JT_tenacity, or hit me on Facebook, James Tenacity Tomlinson. And also, you just can ask us any questions you like on our Instagram at Bulletproof for BJJ, or feel free to drop a comment below. My friends, much love. I hope you have a great week training. I hope that you are feeling fit, strong, and flexible. And between now and when I see you next, stay bulletproof.